And welcome to the Dead Truth Podcast. Welcome to the first episode. I'm Kevin.
I'm Jimmy. And I'm Joel. KJ&J.
All right. Explain this podcast just a little bit. This is going to be like behind the scenes of stalking, Walker Stalker Con, autographing, you name it. Everything's that people don't even know what's really going on behind the scenes. And we have our Walking Dead expert, Jimmy, with us.
How you doing?
Now, when did you start into this Walking Dead thing, stalking and stuff?
I used to be a janitor in high school. Esperotis died.
Yeah.
As everybody kind of knows when Walking Dead. So one night I was at work, and my ex-wife came up to work. One of her friends wanted to go kind of watch one of being filmed down the street, which was at Caldwell Tanks. Well, that scene was basically Merle and Daryl fighting against each other. So we went down there, and we actually ran into Ray Holden and Norman Reedus for the first time. And Lori Holden was out there playing with somebody's dog, and it was a real low kind of budget thing.
Yeah.
They were kind of walking around, hanging out. And from there, we went over to the actual Caldwell Tanks, and they had the boom overneath the Caldwell Tanks. They were filming down in there. At the time, all you seen was smoke, and you seen people up top of Caldwell Tanks act like they were shooting down. You actually see them firing upon, Merle and Daryl at that time. And of course, it was really dark. All the police were surrounding. They let us watch filming to a T. That was before security got really bad. But that night kind of started something for me. I met Norman and everything, and I don't know, it was kind of fun. And my wife at the time kind of liked it, so we decided to just keep going.
So you guys got deeper into it, and
yeah, sometimes I think a little too far, but yes, we got into it.
Yeah. Because some of the stories you told us before, without using names, that's one thing we're not going to do in the show is not name names, but you're going to tell us some of the craziest stories you've seen from.
Except the names of the actors.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll name actors, but not actual fans. I don't want. Yeah. So that's pretty much where I curtailed. I started stalking, and before I know it, I became a tour guide in Grantville, which everybody knows is a Clear episode.
Yeah.
I actually ran into a guy named Patrick and Jonathan. They were working on the room at that time, and they wouldn't even finished. I remember they were writing on the walls and kind of keeping up with everything. And
yeah, that's when we met you up there.
Yeah, of course, yeah. I was lucky enough to meet y'all back in the day, and like I said, the reason why I still do this and has always been about the fans and the people I've met. Like, if it wasn't been for the show, I wouldn't have had, you or a lot of other friends I have now. So I'm actually kind of grateful for it.
How do you see it going now with like tours and people showing up? And how's it since the coronavirus and all that stuff? Has it changed a lot? There's people still coming down to Sonoya and all that, or?
Well, pre-corona, I mean, we were having pretty good sized groups considering. I mean, of course, whenever Carl and Rick died on the show, well, Rick didn't die, but you know what I'm saying. Once they left the show, there was a drastic reduction in people, but it still was, making money. Of course, y'all know
they were the two protagonists of the entire storyline in the comic books. From what I understand, I have not read all the comic books, but Rick and Carl are the two main protagonists, correct?
Yes, sir. Well, the whole show was supposed to revolve around Rick, and you were supposed to follow his story. Well, without him, it's kind of a lost story. So, and you're right with Carl. I think it was supposed to end with him.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say what happened at the end of the comics unless you want to read it yourself, but
you can spoil
that's kind of where it was
spoil
going.
if you want to.
Yeah.
Spoil everything. Yeah, spoil it.
Well, kind of like Carl was sitting there telling his daughter the story about Rick Grimes, and that's how it ended. Not to mention Rick Grimes got killed, but that was the end of the comics.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I mean, are the comics still being made today?
they actually have a new one. Check this out. Hold on one second.
Oh, I thought they stopped boys not long ago. They're supposed to be the last one. They got
a
another.
good creation here. It's Negan Lives. Okay.
Oh, that's right. I forgot. Yeah.
This is number one. Number one right there.
And he looks nothing like Jeffrey Dean Morgan.
Now is AMC going to spin off this and have a Negan Lives series now?
All right. I'm going to tell you like this. The last episode that has not aired yet of this season, because of COVID, they put it off.
Yeah.
Right.
Me and a friend of mine actually went out to Noonan Hospital on Hospital Road, which is about a half mile away from my house. And we actually watched them film that last episode. Now, JDM did leave that night. He waved to us and headed out. But there's talk about him might being gone from the show as well.
Wow.
I mean, because when I watched the TV show Burn Notice, which had what was his name? Bruce. Ash versus the Living Dead series or whatever. Bruce Campbell, yeah. And in early stages, I remember them saying Bruce Campbell was being thrown out as a possible Negan. I was like, dude, he's charismatic, he's funny. And I'm thinking, he may not be a hardcore, and I didn't see all of his Ash versus the Living Dead or whatever movies, but I liked him as an actor. I was like, man, this will be good. But then they came out and said, no, Jeffrey Dean Morgan. And I had only seen Jeffrey Dean Morgan in 2 roles, and I said, that is the one to play Negan.
Yeah. You remember
to be honest with you,
yeah.
I was really disappointed.
Yeah.
Oh, were you? Okay.
Well, the reason why is Negan, Robert Kirkman created Negan in the vision of Henry Rollins.
Yes, because you remember Henry Rollins showed up at Walker Stalker Con that year. He was walking around, and everybody thought it was him.
Yes, Henry Rollins had the balls to pull that character off. And I feel like I love JDM, don't get me wrong. I think he does a great job. But
he's very charismatic. I mean, he can be badass and hardcore when he needs to, but gentle when he needs to. So, but go ahead. I mean, Henry Rollins, I love that man.
But Henry Rollins has the balls to pull that character more to that monster he's supposed to be.
Yeah.
I think that, like you said, the gentle Negan. I didn't want the gentle Negan. I wanted Negan to rip your goddamn face off.
Yeah.
Right.
That's what I wanted. I wanted Negan to come in there with a bat and just slam heads. And the gentle Negan we got is okay. I'm not complaining because people, when that episode did air of, them bashing Glenn in the head and Abraham, I think that, he was what they needed at that time. Yes, because it was such a bad scene. They had to drag back the next episode to make it a little more gentle. So, yes, I think that Henry Rollins would have shocked everybody.
Yeah.
I think that AMC did the best they did for him. I know Norman had a little pull on that because Norman begged for that, JDM to get that role. But I think, that role and that temperament of Henry Rollins would have just brought him to it.
Yeah. But, hey, let's keep moving on here because it's only 30-minute podcast tonight. And my biggest question is, what's the craziest thing you ever seen someone do while you're out at the filming locations or at the con or just out? What's one of the craziest things that you've ever witnessed?
Well, the one that I witnessed actually watching it was they were filming the episode where Josh McDermott got knocked out by Abraham, okay? So we actually went down to Stenoia across the street from Crook's Groceries. They got a little bank there. And we decided to stop there because it started drizzling rain, and we know nobody was going to stop. We just wanted to wave at them and let them go by. Well, there's a little old lady and her grandkids are standing there, and they're like, "We just want to see Stephen Yoon. We don't want to try to stop him or anything. We just want to see him." And I'm like, "Okay, no big deal." So the girl that plays Maggie came up. She went through the stoplight. She stopped and everything went on. All of a sudden, Stephen Yoon come around up the road, and he stops and waved at these people. I look over. That woman's literally throwing kids in the car. She gets in she jumps in the driver's seat and really hauls ass after this man. And I'm like, I didn't see that. It was crazy. Also, I've seen, as far as fans go, this guy with Down syndrome. He was running out in the streets of Sonoya one day trying to stop the vans from going up down the road. That's why that's when all that stuff really stopped, man, because it became a safety issue at that time. It was not really per se, them not wanting to stop. It became a big safety issue, and it became an issue where shit was getting leaked out. They didn't want to get leaked.
Yeah.
And we kept telling people, if you keep telling what's going on in the show, like, no, I don't like calling, sites out or anything, but there was a certain site that kept posting everything, and we kept telling them, if y'all keep doing this, you're going to lose the aspect of actually coming out here to meet people. Well, they didn't care. They just wanted to get their little 5 minutes of fame on the internet, and they would let everybody know what was going on set that day and pretty much ruin every death on the show.
Oh, yeah.
Well, right. Kevin and I have a mutual friend, and he was one of the original Walker Stalkers. Jimmy, I think you know who I'm talking about. And he invited me down a couple of times to go Walker stalking, and because really the only two people on the cast that I wanted to meet were Michael Rooker and Norman Reedus. I've been a fan of Michael Rookers for damn near 30 years. I mean, since before the Days of Thunder, when he played Rowdy Gaines. I've been a fan of Norman Reedus since Boondock Saints. And I'm like, man, I've had my picture taken with Norman Reedus, and I met Carol, what's her name?
Melissa
McBride. Yes, Melissa McBride. Had my picture taken with both of them, and Carol was one of my favorite characters as well. But the first one I met was Rick, Andrew Lincoln. I was like, man, this is like the holy grail of the entire series. It was dark though, so my picture was very dark, so you really can't make out who the hell I'm standing next to. But
when we say original Walker Stalkers, though, I'm not even the original Walker Stalker. I was a part of that. Yes, right. I was like, all right, the guy in question. I understand what you're saying. He might think he was on the originals. I'm not going to say he was. Not going to say he wasn't.
Yeah, I'm not saying he was, but he told everybody who was part of the originals.
Yeah. Well,
not saying he actually was, but he hung out.
I'm not going to say. All right, I'm going to just say this: Mark was not original Walker Stalker. He wasn't.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm not going to say his last name at all.
Yes.
He wasn't.
Mr. Bracelet Boy.
One of the original Walker Stalkers was. I can actually get them on here for you. You had Cindy Sumner's Atlanta Movie Tours. Mm-hmm. You had Kim. You had all of those people. Dean Suddeth. Mark. We actually invited him into this close-knit group. We had there was 10 of us. That's all it was doing it at the time. Okay. We asked Mark not to say anything, to kind of keep things quiet, and Mark went out and got his own group started. And it became a mass scene where you had 300 people at a time down there.
Oh yeah.
And they started selling these, bracelets, and it became kind of a little crazy. I'm not going to say he was right or wrong or indifferent. What I'm going to say is that was the beginning of the end to what we knew as stalking.
Yeah.
Right. When Walker Stalker itself started charging people, they started frowning upon us going out there to do that, even though James and Eric was doing it with us when it started. Okay? Right. But you can look it up on YouTube now, the original Walker Stalker video of them two. They actually came down to Snowy, and you have Rebecca that's actually in the background with them at the time, and Sydney Sumner.
Yeah, because Rebecca and Cindy is the one that showed them the ropes and everything. Showed them how to do it.
Yes. I remember seeing Mark the first time. It was at the McGuire's Pubs. It was like the cast premiere. And I remember seeing this guy, and like I said, he's not a bad guy, but he was making videos trying to make himself a bigger star than he was. So I actually seen it that night, and I was like, I don't know who that guy was. You know, we tried to bring him in our clique or whatever at the time to kind of keep see what was going on, because keep in mind, we didn't want a whole lot of people showing up at first because we were the only ones doing it, and we were kind of selfish. I'm not going to lie about it, okay?
Right.
And then once the tours got started, yes, I started bringing people out with me. I brought, people from the Cancer Centers of America that's down here in Newnan. I took some of them with me. I took the Wounded Warriors with me. I took a lot of people with me to meet people because of, they just wanted to, and that might be their big chance to do it. Now, I only met your friend one time doing walker stalking, and I don't remember it. Kevin says I did.
Yeah.
Honestly, they were doing stuff that I didn't agree with. There was some mail missing out of mailboxes. There was stuff going on that shouldn't have been going on. Like, they were going to people's mailboxes when they went home and get these little flyers that said they filmed at a certain location. That's where all that stuff was coming from online.
Yeah.
And
wow, really? So the filming crew notified people via their mailboxes where they're going to be filming?
Yeah, they used to put these little flyers on the doorsteps and mailboxes. I used to get one myself when I lived in Florida. And they would say, hey,
I'm sorry to interrupt, but did they put them in the mailboxes, or did they tack them to the wood or tape them to the mailboxes?
Sometimes they put them in the mailboxes.
Okay. So from my knowledge, anyone who invades another person's mailbox, that's a federal offense, and they should be charged with a federal crime.
Yeah.
Well, the person stealing this stuff, yes. We actually give them permission to put it in our mailboxes. AMC them.
If someone else comes in there and like, I'm going to tell you, oh, look, they're filming here. Let me go there. I mean, that's kind of committing the federal crime.
But that group you were saying, that was the group in general that was doing this. They would go into people's mailboxes, yes, and take whatever was in there out and look for that flyer.
Wow.
Yeah, because that started to be a big problem.
Federal crime by invading someone else's personal space.
You got to understand. Yeah, but you have to understand this. You still there, Kevin?
Yeah, I'm still here.
There we go.
So you have to understand this guy in question was not doing it himself. He would get other people in the group to do this for him that wasn't well off like he was, and thought they were doing what was right. Yeah.
He's the real life Negan. Then he's like telling them he's very charismatic. He can get them to do what he wants to do, even though it is a federal crime, and they whatever. I mean,
I wouldn't compare him to Negan though.
Look, I mean, he's not bashing their heads in, but he's getting them to commit a crime.
Yeah, we'll probably.
I would compare him to Milton, the governor's little scientist man.
There you go. There you go.
Milton.
I forgot all about Milton. He was like 8 seasons ago.
Yeah, we'll probably go. We'll go into this other group probably in more detail on another. We'll have to dedicate a whole episode to this other group, some of the crap they did. Because I know you've had a lot of trouble with them, and your ex-wife had a lot of trouble with them. Because I remember that night.
She enjoyed messing with them.
Yeah,
I think that's what that was. She really enjoyed it.
Oh yeah.
I was constantly cleaning up messes. What I was doing.
Yeah. Yeah. So, what do you see if they start filming again, if they ever start filming again? Because you mentioned before, not on the podcast, but you mentioned before they're going to film the last 2 seasons all at once. Is that what you heard?
We were hearing, but I don't know if it's true. Yeah, I have no idea. You know, I have friends
Only going to be 4 seasons.
That's what we're hearing.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what we're hearing. I'm not sure what's going to happen, but you know, they said something about they might film 2 seasons back to back, and that might be the end of it.
Yeah. How do you see like the stalking for filming locations more or less done? Because the last time,
Briefly, I still do it, but
yeah.
it is done. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not like the old days. I mean, we remember the days when you could just walk right up to it and no one said anything, as long as you didn't bother anybody.
Yeah, the good old days.
Yeah. And then,
the main reason I brought up our mutual friend is that two reasons. One, I think it was probably the first time I went down to Griffin, Georgia, and I saw Chris Hardwick over there, the host of Talking Dead, across the street, and I was like, "Hey, bro, yeah, you're a jerk, whatever, blah blah blah," for whatever reason, and but our mutual friend introduced me to this woman. She's like, "Oh yeah, I've had my picture taken with Norman over 40 times." Okay, why? Well, is one not good enough? For me, it was. I don't care about. I've had my picture taken with him one time. I don't care about another one.
Well, I'm gonna tell you like this, Joe. Back then, because I think I was there that day. I used to go every night, and it was not because I wanted 5 million pictures with the man. Yeah. It was purely because it was addictive at that point. And a lot of people, you know, I'll be honest with you, if your favorite show was in your backyard, would you not go and watch it every day if you could?
Well, I mean, yeah, I don't know what my favorite show is really at this point. The Walking Dead is among them. I've met the characters all except one that I've wanted to meet. Michael Rooker is still the one that I would like to meet because I've been a fan of his for longer than anyone else's. And I love his raspy voice. And Kevin's giving me a visual here that I can't stop laughing about after the story he told me. But our mutual friend, he loved going on Facebook and giving out spoilers, like the mid fourth mid-season finale, halfway through the 4th season, where they're at the prison, I think it was. He goes on Facebook 10 minutes before the show airs, and he says, "If Herschel or the governor dies, we riot."
Yeah.
Who died that episode? Herschel and the governor. And it's like, and I told him, I said, I don't want to see any more of this crap. I don't care how special you think you are, that you know what's going to happen. I don't want to see it. No one else thinks you're cool because you know what's going to happen. You just think you're cool.
Yeah, some people just love to spoil everything.
And we stopped that for about a season, and then started doing it again.
Because me and Jimmy have a certain friend who loves spoiling everything. I won't mention the name. I'll tell you if you can think of who I'm talking about. But they love spoiling everything. It's kind of like a power trip kind of thing to them. Because
it's like, I know and you don't know. I've got all the power in my hands.
But the person you're talking about, Joel, if they only knew that the information like Jimmy had, and you know some of the information we got, and they'd be shocked that some of the, I mean, Jimmy, you can say some of the information you've gotten before. That person's no longer working you know what I'm talking about. I won't mention names though, but yeah, there's some information.
Yeah, I used to get. I got everything from flight information down to what they had for dinner that day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
and I even had at one point, everybody used to get mad at me. Like they would be sitting there all day long, and I would show up 5 minutes before they wrapped, and they didn't know why I knew that. And I knew when Norman Reedus was going to have a haircut that day.
Yeah.
Norman Reedus has haircut?
Yeah. They were doing on set.
Yeah, not much.
And, yeah.
It looks like he has not had a haircut in 10 years.
Because I know.
No, there were some leaks out of the studio for a long period of time, and they finally caught up with them.
Yeah,
but the thing was, I mean, it was fun while it lasted. I mean, I can tell you that much.
Yeah, because I know you remember a couple from Florida. If you remember what I'm talking about, that they're trying to tell everybody, oh, Jimmy doesn't know what he's doing, not what he's doing, and then where were they filming at? Where were they at? I forget.
They were filming at the second quarry.
Yes.
So you're looking at where, well, you were basically you see the transfer trucks.
Yeah.
The walker, it was Captain Galbraith. That's the walker in question.
Yeah.
He actually walked through there and his face got pulled out. Kevin actually played a bunch of walkers. He was the swamp walker Carl Stone Rocks had in the second season. He's been the walker that when Rick was knocked down on the couch, he's the one that came to the door with Carl. He's been all kind of stuff.
Yeah, he's been.
The Kevin we're talking to right now?
Kevin. No, not the Kevin we're talking to now.
One.
Kevin Galbraith.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But,
I was going to say, Kevin, you're holding out on me, damn it.
No.
Yeah. I'm actually, and the funny thing about it is, Kevin is he works at the table anytime Michael Rooker comes to town.
Yeah.
So you need to hook up on Rooker. That's who you actually talk to. Because Kevin, I'll be honest with you, dude, he is an awesome guy. He really is.
Yeah. But I was trying to.
I have a raspy voice just like Michael Rooker, so that's why I want to meet him.
No, I'm just trying to bring up the story about the couple from Florida. They're trying to say, oh, he doesn't know what he's doing. And then who came by first? It was Cutlass came by and stopped, turned around. And then Andy, and then Norman, and then it was Lenny James is coming back. And I've never seen a grown man cry over another man. And and they were shaking, and I just stood there in disbelief. I'm like, a grown man's crying over another man.
Well, the same guy in question, I went up to the Richard Jewell movie and to try to get Clint Eastwood, and actually got the guy that was playing Richard Jewell.
That's the best one.
And I was on Twitter that night thanking him for stopping for me. Because, when you actually get a guy to pay attention to you, you want to thank him for it. So I went on Twitter and I thanked him for it. The same guy went on there and just started bashing his character on another show. And I'm like, what in the hell? And the actor came up and said, I'm sorry you feel that way. And he's like, started automatically apologizing because he didn't realize I was actually talking to the actor in question.
Oh, that tells you. Oh, man. No, if you're out there listening and if you have any comments or any questions for Jimmy, this will be uploaded pretty soon, and you can leave your comments on YouTube or hit us up at the email. It is thedeadtruthpodcast@gmail.com. And hopefully the next episode or two, we will be up live, so you can call in and ask Jimmy questions live on the air. And we got anything to say before we depart? Because it was a fast episode. Oh, wow. It's almost been 30 minutes already.
The only thing I want to say is that, Norman Reedus, Michael Rooker were the two that I want to be. I'm still waiting on Michael Rooker, but like I said, Jeffrey Dean Morgan, I'd only seen him in a couple of things. The Losers being one of them. That great movie. Oh my gosh, that man was awesome in that movie. Not a great movie, but he played it well. But yeah, I'd love to meet Jeffrey Dean Morgan, get a picture take with him. A friend of mine had a friend who was going through the Atlanta airport one day, 2 or 3 years ago, and he had Norman and Jeffrey together, and he and his family got their picture taken with him. I was like, man, that's the holy grail right there. Funny. Norman and Jeffrey.
Now that should be a future episode. People who we met in the airport. Yeah, Jimmy's smiling at that one. Yeah,
my brother, who's in Facebook jail right now, he travels a lot. His name is Honky Kong, but he has met Ric Flair, Roddy Piper, countless other famous celebrities. We need to have him on when we do that episode. Not necessarily Walking Dead, but it's famous celebrities.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Hey, the thing I got to ask you about Ric Flair was he drunk? Because he's always drunk.
He's probably drunk.
Yeah, we're still going to do an episode on the other podcast. We're going to do an episode from his driveway because I know exactly where his house is at.
Kevin, you know where he lives. We can do that. We can do it at the end of his driveway.
Yep.
On the street. It's a public street, so we can do that.
if, like Kevin was saying, anybody have any questions about The Walking Dead or anything? I've been a tour guide for over 8 years, so just let me know. I've been off and on. I took 2 years off to kind of get my head together, but I am back. And I'm sorry, Jimmy. We confirm this for me or not, but we are hoping to be able to broadcast one of our podcasts or several podcasts on location from some of the filming sites, like the feed mill, right? Well, I was told by my boss we can have absolute control of the feed mill. I have the keys to it in my truck.
Okay.
Yeah, we're gonna do.
I mean, I know there's some others like the clear room and everything that we've talked about. I don't know if it's been approved or not, but we're hoping to have access to several locations.
I can have Morgan's apartment anytime you want it.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're gonna do more than that. We just got to get people listening.
Maybe season, not season, episode 3, episode 4, whatever. Episode 76, we might be in Morgan's apartment. We don't know.
Yes, we don't know.
Well, all you got to do is call in, tell us what you want to see or hear, and we'll talk about it or show it to you. Either way, it'll be kind of fun.
It will.
We want to give our listeners what they want. So tell us what you want.
Yes, indeed. And
we will make it happen. Jimmy has the pull. He is the man.
If we get 50 views on this, we will do episode 2. What do you think?
There we go. I'm going to watch this 50 times now.
That's awesome. But I want to thank you too for, Jimmy for coming on our first episode and Joel for being on our first episode. Hopefully this will be just the first of many. And like we said, if you want to hit us up on the email. It's the deadtruthpodcast@gmail.com. You can leave a comment on the YouTube thingy, how the hell that works. And we'll have more. One of you two set up a Twitter. Jimmy, you're good at that stuff, aren't you?
I'll set up the Twitter. I mean, I can do that. It's probably, if I can get it, it's going to be Dead Truth on Twitter.
That's what it'll be. Hit us up on
Joel's
that.
Man. There you go.
Yeah, I'm not a social media guy, so. Well, any departing words before we roll out of here for our first episode? None?
Nothing but thank you for listening.
All right. Well, until next time, this is Kevin.
Jimmy.
And this is Joel. Thank you for listening to The Dead Truth.
How many walkers have you killed? How many people have you killed?
I'd like to have a calm discussion on this topic. Do you think we can manage that?
The world ended. Didn't you get the memo?
We ain't even having this conversation.
Hey, mister, you even know what's going on?
Come down here, let's have that talk.
Hey, you alive in there?
We got a mission, too. It's keeping that man alive, getting him to Washington, and saving the whole damn world.